Hi guys, and welcome back to another FM20 video. This time we're going to be taking a look at the club vision and a lot of the sort of, not even quality of life upgrades, but just the general stuff under the hood, which I think are very, very important to take a look at. Now, you'll notice that this is starting straight off with this. You're presented with slightly different screens at the start of the game. This is the sort of introduction to the club. You can see that you get the club history, club background, all that sort of jazz. Also, when you're actually choosing a team, you won't see this here because I did like a quick pick start, but when you choose a team from the proper menus, you'll notice that you can actually see the club visions from that page. You know, where you've got all the list of teams and it's like media prediction, all that sort of stuff. You'll actually be able to see what club visions that club has for you. Now, you'll see the ones that Fulham have as we go into that in a minute, but the point is it's quite useful because you'll be able to actually see what you're expected to do before you even get into the game to choose if that's what's right for you. Again, you'll also be presented with a team report where it shows you the hot prospect, the top scorer, the sort of standard formation or the best formation with the team. It shows you the loan obligations. If there are any transfer obligations, it will show you them in there too. You'll also see the way it's rotating around at the bottom of the screen there with showing that the top earner, the hot prospect, key player, interestingly Caballero lists, the captain, all sorts of interesting stuff that you can see, as well as a nice little 3D conference room in the background, the squad personality, all kinds of extra little stuff that perhaps you might have been missing before, or you wouldn't have seen until you actually got fully into the game. This kind of gives you a little bit of a preview of what to expect before you actually get into things. And I believe this will be even more important if you were to join a club midway through the season, because it has a space for top scorer, all that sort of jazz. So if you were to take over a club that was, say, in trouble, you'd be able to see this stuff before you even actually got into things. And that, I think, is a really, really nice little addition to the game this year. Moving on from that, this is the club vision page. This is one of the big new additions, and this is one of the things I was talking about where it's both a now thing and a future thing. So you'll see that the club vision has club culture. These are stuff that you can negotiate with, but most of them are going to be kind of hard-coded to each, not hard-coded, but like the chairman will decide at each club what you kind of get. So for Fulham, for example, the idea was to challenge for the title, but that was a desired objective, not something that you had to do, but they'd be a bit disappointed. Now you can see it just says Sky Bet Championship. That's just because we're playing in it. We have to reach the 4th round minimum. That is actually required. Now again, because we did that, I actually don't know what would happen if we were to fail that, but it presumably could end up leading to your sacking a lot faster. Carabao Cup, 3rd round minimum. This also means that you can actually add things to this as well. Not in this menu, but when you actually presented with it once you get into the match. So before, you had the things that would say things like, the board don't care about what happens in the Carabao Cup. Well, now you could say, actually, lads, I'd quite like it if you did care about the Carabao Cup because I intend to win the damn thing. So you can actually add stuff in as well. And you can see that, of course, we want to win promotion to the Premier League the following year, then hopefully remain in the Premier League the year after that. Now, you'll notice in there as well, it says my contract expires because, of course, if you've got a shorter contract, they won't really care about so much of what happens after that, but it shows you that if you were to stay, this is kind of what would be expected. But I presume if you were to come up for a contract negotiation, you would then have the opportunity to renegotiate these things. Now, you might be thinking, these are very similar to philosophies. I agree, but philosophies you could basically ignore. Most of us played without them because often the game would interpret things differently to us. This is not something you can ignore. There is no way that you can remove all of these. Maybe there's a mod, or there will be possibly at some point. I don't know. But I prefer to not do that anyway, because I think this is a genuinely huge feature. Or not even a feature, but I suppose it is. A genuine good step in the right direction, because this is how clubs actually function. We're expected to play attacking football, but it's only favoured. They're not going to be like, you're not playing attacking football, therefore we're going to bin you off. We're expected to hopefully sign players under the age of 22. You can see that that has a higher degree of importance than the playing attacking football. Develop clubs, youth centre, and stuff like that. Not only that, but you've got inductions. Now, there was inductions last year, but this is a much more sensible one. You can actually see where they were scheduled for. It sort of brings you in. This is great for new players. I don't exactly know how to turn it off if you are a more experienced player, but I don't think you really need to. And in addition to that, you can set up all the stuff from those additional meetings that you would have at the very beginning of a game. You can do that straight off the bat. And I think that's quite important. Now, as for playing time pathway, which is the new contract negotiations, which basically, because they've changed the entire squad statuses now, there's now more of them, and it gives you more freedom to decide kind of what a player is. You'll see that players have different expectations about different things. So there's expectations in the next 5 matches, which kind of links into the whole idea of promises, but it's much more quantifiable. You can see exactly what players are expecting during those periods of time. You can also see that there's actual playing time, which is how much they're getting, versus the agreed playing time. So before, a player would complain about a lack of playing time, and you'd be like, but you're playing. Now you can go in there and go, actually, this is what he's expecting, and this is why he's now going to complain about that, because it might not exactly match up to what you thought it meant. Now there is at least, I think, 11 different squad roles, from all the way to like hot prospect, from youth player, all the way up to, I believe it's star player now instead of key player, but you can see some of them here. So the squad player, important player, regular starter. For goalkeepers, they have their own ones in, I believe. There's like cup goalkeeper is now a thing that you can actually have. First choice goalkeeper, fringe players, breakthrough prospects, youngsters. There's a few more that you might not even see in here because Fulham actually didn't have any players listed that were sort of in those categories. You'll notice those more in the development center for the under 19, under 20s, under 23s, and under 18s. But again, I think being a bit more granular in this setting is a massive step in the right direction. You can also see their playing time happiness. Now, this isn't a filter I made. It might say copy of playing time, but this is just because I was fiddling around with it. You'll notice in a minute I flip it back to the default one. You'll see it's something you can look at straight off the bat and not have to worry about it. So look, you'll see I actually do this here. This is what you're actually presented with. It's a brand new sort of squad selection screen, and you can see it all at a quick glance to see how happy they are. And also, just a nice little thing here. When you join a new club, you get the manager with the, ignore the horrendous face, and there's actually a pink tracksuit there too, which they've chosen to ignore from this menu, which is a shame. But again, you can see it just looks an awful lot better. So, this is a little introduction to Playing Time Pathway, some of the new little features in there as well. If you've enjoyed this, drop a like on the video, that would be excellent. And if you want to see more stuff like this coming up soon, then yeah, subscribe, that'll be awesome as well. And I'll see you guys very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.